Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be reacting to White Boy by Tom Macdonald. We're running out of Tom Macdonald content at this point. I think we're almost moved through every single one of the songs, and you know Jerry has liked Tom a whole bunch. Going through all of it, Tom's become one of our people. So let's get into White Boy and comment down below, like and subscribe, and let's get into this.
I cannot feel guilty for that I didn't do, but I can understand the reasons why you think that I should. Yeah, I'm white, but I never put your neck in no noose, and I never burnt a cross or hid my face with a hood. You can't just label me racist, cause I'm related to people who did some terrible way back before I was alive. My parents brought me up to treat everyone as an equal. I refuse to feel ashamed cause of my pretty blue eyes. A Nazi, white supremacist, anyone who labels me as that because of my family genetics. The hatred for Caucasians is so pathetic. Go be proud that you're black, but don't hate me for some credit. I'm not the white devil, neo-Nazi, cop trying to pull the trigger. You can call me what you want, but I'd still never say the white race as a whole ain't the enemy. There's racist white people, but we're far from that collectively. White boy.
Well, he made a pretty good explanation of his position, which is, I think, a just position, more than good. And I mean, it was if you looked at it in reverse, if you just hated all blacks or blamed all blacks for whatever, or Hispanics for whatever, just because of their race, well, it's racist. So if you do that with whites, just because they happen to be Caucasians, it's the same thing. It's just as equally racist and equally wrong. So, and I think that's what he's pretty much saying.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's pretty good. I like it. It's funny. And then there's this guy. I can't tell if he's Spanish heritage or if he's Indian, Native American heritage. But then he says white boy. And,
yeah, right.
And it's funny because if you said black boy, right? If you just said black boy, right? All of a sudden you'd be racist, right? And I can understand actually, and blacks don't want to be called boy because that went on long after the Civil War.
Right.
People calling blacks boy, and and especially no man wants to be called boy. I would think.
Right. All right, here we go.
Don't say that, white boy. Oh, you so bad, white boy. You wish you were black, white boy. Dear white boy. White boy, white noise. I can't say it with my white voice. White boys, white lies. Don't tell me how to see it through my white eyes. If a black man is sipping on some cognac sitting next to me, I don't assume that every black's favorite drink is Hennessy. I don't dislike Tanisha because her first name isn't Stephanie. Not only is that wrong, it's a waste of energy. Ivory or ebony, 45 or 17, we all bleed the same. Martin Luther King or Kennedy. They're angry, I'm reciting the facts. He's white and he raps. He stole the culture right from the blacks. Okay, he's fire, but we lit the flame. He's siphoning gas. So this corny little honky man, the whitey is whack. You letting history perpetuate the hatred within, and then you paint me with the brush you painted slave owners with. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. It's because he addresses exactly what society uses to keep us divided.
Yeah.
And the reality, black, white, Hispanic, whatever, we all want, I would say for the most part, the same thing. I don't think it's divisible by race. You want to be safe. You want to be treated fairly. You want to be able to get a job and keep it because of your skill set. You want to be able to earn a living, take care of your family. You don't want to be harassed by government officials, regardless of whether it's federal or state or local. You just want to be equal opportunity for all of us, and that equal opportunity, unfortunately, sometimes gives us the opportunity equally to fail. Right. And it shouldn't lift one of us up above the other because of race. And I think that's pretty much what Tom's saying.
Yeah.
And I mean, I I lived through the Watts riots in Los Angeles when I was a kid, and then we had some more. Then we had the ones where they pulled the trucker out. I can't forgot the guy's name that the police had beaten up, and LAPD had done it, Los Angeles Police Department, and then I'll think of his name. And they pulled a white trucker out of his truck, who just drove through town and about caved his head in. And lots of riots. And I've seen it all. I've seen riots when I was in high school. We had riots at the high school over race. And the funniest thing is none of us really thought about race or cared about race when all this stuff was going on.
Right.
As far as I knew blacks and I knew whites and I knew Hispanics, and I hang out pretty much with everybody because I'm not judging them on their skin tone. And we had some rocks thrown through this classroom window. It was pretty bad. And it's a tragedy, I think, with our founding fathers to get the country that they caved in on allowing slavery in documents that in fact were really written and formed because our founding fathers didn't want to be slaves of Britain and want the colonists to be slaves, but we left a segment of our society, which was the blacks, and there were still white slaves too, and but in those positions, and it's just wrong, and it's a shame we're still dealing with the sins of our fathers,
right?
Whether genetically our fathers, really our fathers, but at least our founding fathers.
Right, here we go.
White boy, don't say that. White boy, oh you so bad. White boy, you wish you were black. White boy, dear white boy. White boy, white noise. I can't say with my white voice. White boys, white lies. Don't tell me how to see it through my white eyes. I got a mother, a father, a sister, an auntie, an uncle, and a grandma that I picture when you're openly hating. And God willing, one day I'll have a kid of my own. I refuse to let you blindly hate my wife and my baby, so go ahead and hate the races. I pray for their extinction. If you want to hate the white people, just make the distinction between the ones who want the best for everyone regardless and the ones who build the system just to smother you with hardship. Stop before you say it. I know what you've been thinking. How's a straight white male in 2018? You're making me the villain by demonizing my race for things I didn't do and decisions I didn't make. No one that I call a friend has ever owned a slave, and neither did our dads or our dads' dads. Sakes acknowledging atrocities were wrongly committed is all that I can offer while I'm wrongly convicted. I would never hate a man for what God gave him in pigments, and I would never plot against him just because he is different. I would never judge a human for the cards he was given or call him lesser than myself because of the race that he's mixed with. White people that you hate aren't your neighbors or lawyers. They're the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bushes, and Royals. They're the people who monopolized the water and oil and injected your communities with drugs that they spoiled. Got no patience for Nazis, I think they're better off dead. They're fighting hatred with hatred, making the hate more intense. I don't want nothing to do with either side of the fence, so don't blindly attack me for wearing braids on my head. Hate the people who believe you put yourselves in the ghetto. Hate the ones who teach their children you ain't because they said so. Hate the ones who think you're all the same and judge you profusely because the way that you're portrayed on our news and in movies. Being white and being racist aren't the same, man, I promise. No, it's hard to tell the difference if I'm just being honest. I deserve the chance to show you I'm not part of the problem, and you owe it to yourselves. We got so much in common. White boy.
You know, it's interesting, his comment that on the division and where it's coming from, and that that the blacks in this particular instance are being portrayed as being of one mind, if you will, and and you know, and I've said so to my wife. I've called that. I said, look at the commercials on television. A lot of blacks or the black sitcoms. How they portray the blacks, and to me parts of it are degrading, and a lot of that, and that's acceptable stuff. Right. And but it's I don't find it is, and I think. You know, I've had plenty of black friends. I served with blacks in the Marine Corps. I've done a lot of things, hung out with a lot of blacks, even with my time in Nevada. And I got to tell you, once you get over that race hump, because there's that artificial stumbling block put in front of us by
Right.
others who profiteer, if you will, politically or financially off of division, and they keep control of us that way.
Mm-hmm.
Is you find so much in common. And
Right.
I had an issue out at Pahrump. I gave a black guy mouth to mouth, and that was unheard of in this situation.
What happened to him to get him there in that
Well,
situation?
he and a friend of his were brought in on some kind of white collar crime, both
Mm-hmm.
black guys, and really good guys. And he had high blood pressure, really bad high blood pressure. I didn't know, and I didn't know what was wrong with him. I knew I'd seen him around in a wheelchair a few times, and it was about 6:30 in the morning, something like that. We were having breakfast. A buddy of mine, the Marine, white guy, and we're sitting there having breakfast, and he said, "Hey, what's going on behind us?" And I turned around, and I saw that the guard was lowering him, getting a bunch of people gathered around him, taking him, putting him on the floor with sheets. He was in a sheet, and they were taking the sheet, using that kind of like a stretcher to lower him down the floor gently.
Mm-hmm.
And the guards started giving him CPR, giving him chest pumps.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as I saw that, I got up, I ran over there, slid over there up along between him and his bunk, and I put my ear down. I knew he wasn't. I heard he wasn't breathing, and I told the officer, "Hey, he's not breathing." So I asked him if he had a breather bag. I don't know what the hell they're called, but they have one, and because you never know disease or what was going on. But he said no, and I went, "Oh well." So I plugged his nose, opened his mouth, and started giving him mouth to mouth, and but I gurgled. And when the air came back out, and I felt him, and he was cool. His neck was cool. His hands were cool. I felt his feet were cool, and I knew he was gone, and he passed away. But I got to tell you, it ended the racism at that point, in that environment. Racism died right at that point, because one old white guy, me, gave this black guy mouth to mouth, and it was an amazing story. The entire story was quite amazing. I was asked to pray for him, so they put me up in front of the unit, stood up on a stool, and led a prayer. And the guard was standing there, didn't say anything. Then they put on a feast that next Saturday. And the blacks would eat with the blacks, the Mexicans. There's a couple of Mexican groups that eat with the Mexicans, the white guys eat with the white guys, and the white guys called me over for some food, and I had two black guys with me, so I took the food and then I gave it to them, and which was a no-no, but I could give a crap about no-no, that kind of no-no, right? And so the blacks called me over and were feeding me. I gave some to the white guys, and I did the same thing with all the Mexicans, and then next thing you know, they were all together. Everybody was together, and a white guy actually came in a few weeks later, and was threatening me because I was eating with a Native American, and he told me I couldn't do it. And I told him basically, "You can't tell me who to eat with." And so I, up in front of the unit, there were like 96 guys there, and so I told him, "You don't get to tell me who I eat with." I said, "I served the Marine Corps with blacks, Mexicans, Indians, and war animals. You don't tell me jack who to eat with." So I went ahead and we ate, and then he started yelling at me, threatening me, and he wanted me to go into this closet, right? And there were about 15 guys, blacks, Mexicans, and whites behind me. I turned around, and I just told the guy, "Oh, you're a big man, right?" Well, he's like 30. I was overweight slob, and so then he got mad and walked off. And I turned around to like 15 guys, and they said, "If he'd have touched you, would have killed him." And so then he sent, this is really odd, he sends this other guy over to talk to me. He's a shaved head guy. He's a Jew, right? Comes over and goes, "Hey, this guy, whatever his name was, wants to talk to you, over up against this wall." So I'm like, I go, "Doesn't it strike you funny that you're hanging out with a racist? You're a Jew." I said, "Hitler was a racist." I go, don't you see some irony there? What the hell are you doing carrying this guy's water? You shouldn't even hang with this guy. I mean, if you can give him testimony, he's wrong, but after that, if he stays that way, I'd leave him alone. So anyway, so I went over there, and he started telling me I disrespected him, this guy. And I go, "Disrespect?" I just cut him off, because that's me. And I said, "Look, I'll tell you something about respect." I said, I was 1 years old or whatever the hell it was at the time. I said, and you're telling me who I can eat with. I go, that's disrespectful. I'll eat with anybody I damn well please, and you've got no say over it. I don't give a shit who you think you are, and you might be somebody. You're nobody to me. And I turned around, the whole unit was there, and they were looking at him, and they ended up. Another guy came into the unit after this. The guy walked away, and another guy came into the unit, came in and threatened to kill him, like a big Mexican guy, and who was with one of these Mexican groups. He was there. It was kind of funny, and he came up to me, and he said, "Jerry, you're a man of God." And I go, "I didn't even know this guy. I'd never seen him before. I don't know where he came from." And I just stand at the end of my bunk, and so we. I got up, I introduced myself to him because I know who you are, and then he puts his hand on my shoulder, and this guy's like 6'4", 6'6", and he's a monster of a guy, and I felt like a little kid, right? You know, I'm the Marine, and he he goes, anybody touches this man, I'm going to choke them to death, and he's yelling it out, and you know, there's an officer in there and everything, and I'm standing up there, I feel like a little kid, right? And so. He goes, I don't think they got the point. He said it 3 times. And he says, I don't think they got the point. So he went over and he knew who to go to the racist guy. And he went over there and told him, he says, let's go in that closet. And he goes, I'm going to choke you to death. And the guy's like, oh, he's afraid of him. And this other guy jumped in. It was where was he from? Costa Rica. And this guy goes, you can't talk to him that way. He goes, you come in there too. He goes, I'll choke you both to death. He goes, let's go. And they wouldn't go. And they ended up getting transferred out. And that guy joined my Bible study group, actually. And the big guy would come in. And there was like no more racism. The only reason that racism came in is because that white guy was a racist, was new. He had just come in like about a week before. Right. And it ended. And I had one of the officers tell me, he says, look, I've been doing this a long time, Jerry. I don't blame us. He goes, and like well over 20 years, he goes, I've never seen anything like it. And I said, well, that's what happens when you invite the Holy Spirit in. And you stand for what's right. You just stand for what's right. You know, I'm not going to let somebody bully me or bully somebody else because of their race. I mean, what the hell's wrong with us if we allow that? So that's my little interjection, and hope it wasn't boring, but it was quite an event to actually live through.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, guys, if you like this content, comment down below, like and subscribe, and see you guys on the next one.
Good job, Tom. Semper Fi.